Johan Hamels, Executive Director of the Canadian Greens. Earlier this year, you had a major breakthrough for your party. You got your first MP elected at federal level. And we're just interviewing you today to see how you achieved that success, what lessons you have for European Greens, and how it's influenced your future campaigns. So one big difference with running an election in Canada is the size of the country. It covers, was it 5 time zones?
Yes, 4.5.
4.5 time zones. And it was how long was the campaign?
It's 5 weeks.
So 5 weeks, 5 time zones, 4.5 time zones.
Yeah.
How did you manage to run a campaign over so many time zones, and what difficulties did it pose?
It is. Look, I'm myself from Belgium, and I was part of the European Greens before, so I've worked at the European campaign in 2009 with the European Greens, and when I started working with the Canadian Greens, it gave me a very similar experience of having to work on long distances. Lots of telephone conferences, lots of new digital media to use, even for internal communication, because you cannot get together physically. That's one thing. Secondly, we had a big problem in Canada with the fact that our leader was running in her riding in Vancouver, which was 3 time zones away from Ottawa and Toronto, where the heart of politics is happening, the heart of the media. And so she had to be available at 5 o'clock in the morning for the media, for whom it was 8 o'clock in the morning, and to give an interview or what else. That were the difficulties we were dealing with, and that we had to prepare before, that we had to accept it, that we had to work with that time zone differences between, because our leader was working from British Columbia.
Despite the fact you got close to 8% in the preceding election, 6 or 8%?
In 2008 we had nearly 7%. And no seats. 1 million Canadians voted for us. In 2011 we got 4%. We got 500,000 votes, but we had 1 seat.
Okay, and so your vote went down, but you still increased your number of seats to 1. Was it because you targeted your resources more tightly, or were there different reasons?
Yes, in 2009 the party, after the election of 2008, which was very successful for the Canadian Greens, but we had no seats. And so the party got together, made a campaign plan, a long-term campaign plan, and we decided to invest a lot of our resources, human resources and money resources and time of our leader in her riding in British Columbia. So we looked for a place where we had a good chance for a Green candidate to get lots of votes based on the demographic in that riding, and then we decided that she would move there, that she spent 3 weeks out of 4 weeks always there, and only 1 week available for traveling around. Well, before 2008, what she was doing as leader in the white country that Canada is, she was like traveling around and having also lots of time in Ottawa when the House was sitting to have access to the media there. And so from 2009 we shifted that in a new strategy to really focus on that seat. The disadvantage of that was that the media themselves said like, oh, this leader is not available for us anymore, this leader is not doing a nationwide campaign because other leaders travel around also during the election. The result being that 2 sitting leaders of the 5 got elected in this election. Of the two big parties.
2 leaders lost their seats.
Yes, 2 leaders lost their seats. The Liberal leader, who was not the normally governing party in Canada, lost his seat. Nobody could expect that.
So despite your strong vote in 2008, the political system excluded your leader from the political debate in this year's election. And I suppose that would be an experience that some of the smaller Green parties are used to. Why was it that despite your huge vote, your leader was excluded?
Because there are no rules. It's not the political system that set the rules on how this leadership debate, televised leadership debate is organized. In fact, the consortium, which are 4 guys from the 4 big television channels, they come together and they sit in a back room and they decide who can participate. And they negotiate with the big parties. In fact, this was negotiated with the big parties before. And they put the blame this time only on the consortium, so that our opponents, they said, oh, for us it's fine if the Greens participate, but it's up to them to decide. We don't take a stand on this. For us, she can participate. The main reason why that consortium doesn't want her to participate is that I think that the big media are got very annoyed with the Greens in the fact that we are disturbing the normal political development. They prefer easygoing things, in fact only 2 parties, or in this case 4, because you have the Bloc Québécois in Quebec and then 3 other ones. And so the fewer people, the easier it is for them to send out their messages and to show. And at the same time, I think also it was of the interest of the big parties not to have us there. So they played under the same umbrella and to cover it up for them. It came out because during our battle to try to get her into the debate, we went to the court. And at the court, the lawyer of the consortium said that the consortium was afraid that the other leaders would not participate in the debate if the Green Party leader would participate, would be allowed into there. And that was like, it's really funny to hear that in a court by a lawyer of the consortium, while in the public they never speak about that, and the leaders even say, for us, she can participate.
So that exclusion obviously harmed your campaign. What did you do to try and compensate for her not being allowed to participate?
First of all, it has hampered our campaign. Secondly, we try to organize a type of public outreach to the wider public in Canada and have some well-known Canadians participated in this debate. We call it Demand Democratic Debates. We have even a website for it, demanddemocraticdebates.ca, where people could sign a petition, where people could read about the arguments, about the examples in the past when parties who had no seats were allowed into debates at provincial or federal level in Canada. Foreign examples, I mean, I remember during the campaign that in Scotland they were also busy about the televised television debate because they have an election which was very close to the same day
around
as
May.
ours, at the beginning of May. And they were also excluded while the Scottish nationalists were excluded in the British elections, but then they do the same when it's their own election.
It was very strange.
What is very, I mean, which shows the limit of their democratic view on how open and fair an election campaign should be. We played strongly on the fact that an election campaign should be fair and that the election system of the first past the post should not be aggravated by then also in the public debate, excluding those ones who do not benefit of the first past the post system. We tried to get lots of well-known Canadians part of it. We had 2 former prime ministers who supported our demand to have her included, lots of writers and others. And we organized the court case, and we organized even with our youth wing a couple of actions in the buildings of the television organizers, and that really came into the news also that we were there.
What kind of actions?
Oh, they played theater meetings of debates with them, and then the Greens are excluded, and so on, as young people do.
And the court case would have cost you some money, I presume.
Yes.
But which mightn't be available to some smaller parties that are struggling in Europe. But the actions you had in the TV stations, those were all low budget.
Oh yes,
using
it was very cheap. Very cheap, and the website doesn't cost a lot of money to set up and so on. And giving a call and asking some other people who care about a fair political environment, a fair campaign, you can always set it up.
So it's possible to turn this disadvantage into some
sort
of...
we had a success in 2008. The fact was that the other parties learned their lesson and they were extremely committed to keep it out, because they knew, I mean, in Canada the televised leadership debate is really the one most important moment in which Canadian voters listen and hear something about the election. It is really crucial.
So it was a big loss not to be
included. In any case, yes. Okay. And we will, in the next 4 years, we will work on it, because even that we now have a member of parliament, that sometimes the consortium says, because you have no member of parliament, we cannot include you. We are not sure that in 4 years they will include us. They will try and do anything, I believe.
The rules can switch again.
There are no rules. They have no rules.
Of course. So Elizabeth May is now the first and only Green member of the National Parliament. How is she finding it being in Parliament as a sole Green representative, and what is she doing to project her voice across the
We are extremely happy, and Elizabeth feels very strong at this moment. I mean, she is working like hell. She is at home in Parliament. And she has built, you should read a couple of articles from other political observers, is the fact that they're just surprised how much one MP in the Parliament in Ottawa makes a difference in the sort of information that they get out, in the sort of debate that happens. For example, on Libya, there was a debate on continuing the Canadian military forces in the Libyan action of NATO, to prolong it with 3 months. On 308 MPs, 307 voted in favor, 1 voted against, and she was the one who really created the arguments and who showed that you can have a different approach on this, and that's not always that it is taken for granted for everybody. The same about a crime bill, and a mega crime bill that wanted to be passed for big trials, for group gang trials, and the government wanted to pass it without hearings in Parliament, without any hearings in Parliament. They needed unanimous consent for that. And she refused. She said, no, I want to have a proper parliamentarian hearing also, because there are some aspects to look into this, that we don't violate our Bill of Rights in Canada. Being in Parliament, she could do it. The Minister of Justice from Quebec came to Ottawa to talk into her, to really say like, don't do this, let it pass, let it go, and so on. But she stand firm and worked on it.
And is it a case of she's choosing her battles because she can't fight every issue, or she doesn't have the time or resources to fight every issue, or does she choose her battles between?
You know, the people who know Elizabeth May know that she does all the battles. Her whole life long already. She has been an activist, environmental activist, since she was extremely young, a teenager, and has always kept going things, and works long hours, and has tons of energy, and specifically now with this opportunity of being in the Parliament and having direct access as an MP to the press and others.
Johan Hamels, thank you for your interview today, and good luck in your regional elections.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.